What's up, Doug, everybody? It's Torrential Downfall, and today we're talking about a story that almost serves as a mirror to our own society. We're looking at a life that was lived at a high speed, under a much harsher light, and ultimately was cut far too short. We're talking about Caroline Flack. Caroline wasn't just a presenter, she was the girl next door who made it big. She had this infectious, slightly chaotic energy that made live TV feel unpredictable. Whether it was her time on the I'm a Celeb spin-off or on The Extra Factor, she was, a master of having fun. Think back to her chemistry with Ollie Murs, or even those awkward, slightly funny moments that she had on the Extra Factor sofa. She handled the weirdness of the public with a laugh, but at that same time, the public was starting to sharpen their knives. The media's obsession with Caroline started early, and it was often relentless. When she dated Harry Styles, the age gap became national news, and she was hounded for what was, in reality, a private relationship. However, you don't really see some of those comparisons made on the other side, for example, with Leonardo DiCaprio and his very well-known dating history. But looking at the way in which her relationship with Harry Styles was portrayed, it was giving an early sign about how the spotlight for Caroline wasn't just illuminating, it was almost devouring her. What we saw was a normal woman trying to navigate fame while the world treated her personal life like a spectator sport. Then, to many people's eyes, her most famous role, Love Island. Caroline became the face of the biggest cultural phenomenon in the UK at the time. She was almost a mother hen to the contestants, the one who walked into the villa and helped to heat things up. But as the show grew, so did its scrutiny. We love to watch people fall in love, but as a culture, we seem to love watching people fall from grace even more. I mean, what made Caroline such a great host? Why was she so memorable? She connected with contestants in such a unique way, and I believe that's because she really cared. She hosted Love Island so well because she wanted to find love herself. It was almost an analogy of her love the show. No love is an island, but seeing so many couples, she almost felt like she was left out, because she wasn't allowed to join in. She wanted love to work out for the contestants, almost as a hope that love could work out for herself as well. However, in the end of 2019, there was a big narrative shift around Caroline Flack, turning her from national sweetheart to villain. This was because of a domestic incident involving her partner at the time. Reports circulated about a lamp being used as a weapon, and suddenly the nuance of a complex private moment was reduced to a headline. Caroline herself wanted to speak out after the arrest. However, she was advised not to in case it affected any potential trial. What were the circumstances surrounding the attack? Caroline believed her boyfriend at the time, Lewis, was cheating on her. She hit him while they were drunk, and his head was bleeding. The media reported that Caroline Flack had hit her boyfriend. The newspapers reported about the large amount of blood that was splattered at the scene of the crime. They also reported about an ambulance needing to be called. How did social media react to this? Before any trial was had, before Caroline could give her side of the story, she was crucified online. They were calling for her to be axed from her job, hosting Love Island. And, in the end, they got what they wanted. In this situation, I don't, and I can't really blame ITV. When you've got these allegations circling, um, and you're in the public eye, there has to be a decision to be made. At the same time, I do believe in innocent until proven guilty, um, and so I'm not sure if all of the hate at the time was warranted. But in the media, and online, she was branded a serial abuser, a manipulator, and pretty much a monster. But what did the newspapers and media selectively omit from the night of the incident? Number one, Caroline Flack did not hit her boyfriend with a lamp. It was actually with his phone. Caroline believed that her boyfriend Lewis was cheating on him, and this wasn't mentioned at all by the media. She did hit him with her phone while they were drunk, and this did lead to his head bleeding. However, the wound was cleared by emergency services as not needing medical attention. So, where did all the blood come from that the media shared? After the police were called by Lewis, Caroline believed that her world would fall apart once the media was involved. This is when she decided to slice her wrist open with broken glass. Again, she thought her career was over, she thought her relationship was over, and she wanted to die. She cut herself so deep it went down to her muscle, and she needed plastic surgery on her arms afterwards. Crown Prosecution Service, this should be noted to begin with, initially didn't want to charge Caroline, and wanted to recommend a caution, which would be visible on her record, but there wouldn't be a need for a conviction. However, due to police intervention, she was being pushed to be charged with assault with conviction and then to end up being on trial. While Caroline and her team initially thought this case wouldn't be going to trial, her world did crumble again when she found out that the case was going forward. She was being harassed where she lived and had to move out at 3 a.m. to hide from the press. Any sense of normalcy she tried to find was only met with hate and criticism. I guess this is a part of the moments leading up to Caroline's passing that's quite difficult to talk about. But for months, the comments section were filled with really vile hatred. People judged a woman they didn't know based on snippets of a night that they weren't even there for. Let's just quickly take a recap. Caroline was being blamed for hitting her boyfriend with a lamp and leaving a bloody mess in the room. The reality, she did hit her boyfriend, but with a phone. That doesn't make it right, but context is important. Relationships are difficult. Lewis didn't want the trial to continue. She wanted the press, he wanted the press and the media to leave Caroline and him alone, and he was truly in love with her. And the bloody scenes that the public found so horrendous on the day weren't Lewis's blood. They were Caroline's from her cutting herself. Just let that sink in for a second. Here Caroline was in the midst of the mental health crisis, and all the public could do was criticise her, was hate her. On the Christmas Eve of 2019, Caroline was seen Christmas shopping, smiling, laughing, and the media and social media pounced on this, calling it a slap in the face to domestic abuse victims, where in reality, Caroline had been on suicide watch for 2 weeks. The Christmas shopping was a chance to feel normal again, for her to stop feeling suicidal. The attention she got and how she was feeling at the time meant that she was crying in an alley on the day. but that wasn't shared by the media. Then, in February 2020, Caroline took her own life. She left a note: "Please let this small case be dropped and myself and Lewis find harmony." Such a sad, sad end. I really do hope, Caroline, in death, you could find the peace that was taken away from you in life. And suddenly, the internet changed. The same people who were throwing insults 24 hours earlier were now posting #BeKind. The media outlets that hounded her suddenly ran tribute pieces. It's a recurring cycle. We tear someone down until they break, and then we hold a candlelight vigil for the person we helped destroy. On a side note, I wanted to say well done to Disney on navigating difficult topics such as self-harm, depression, and suicide. I would really advise that you watch the 2-part series, Caroline Flack, Searching for the Truth on Disney Plus, to get a more detailed look into what I've spoken about, the life of Caroline and the lead up to her death. Ultimately, Caroline Flack was a human being. She was flawed, she made mistakes, and she dealt with mental health issues that most of us couldn't imagine handling in the life we live today, let alone under the microscope of the media. Her legacy isn't just a TV show, it's a warning. It's a reminder that behind each celebrity mask there is a real person. We need to discuss these issues while people are still here to hear us, not just when it's too late. But what do you think? Have we learned anything since 2020? Or are we just waiting for the next person to fall? Thank you for listening, everyone, and as always, as long as it hurts no one, do something nice for yourself today.